We're ready when you are.
All right. As far as the injuries go, Felici tore two of his tendons in his knee, both knees. Sammy hurt his hamstring. We'll just see how that goes here in the next couple of days. And then, listen, my hat goes off to the Raiders. They did a nice job with that ball game. So they're improved, and you saw it today. So we didn't do our best. I'll take responsibility for that. And then we got to make sure we clean up the penalties, took points off the board, which you can't do, and then the big plays. Got to clean that up. Anyways, time yours.
We'll go first to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy, you just mentioned a couple of the problems today, but just, I don't know if you think in these terms, but generally speaking, how much of the problems that you saw today were things that you've seen, even in this 4-0 start, and how many of them were new?
Oh, we hadn't had all these penalties, so I mean that part was new, and then we really haven't given up that many big plays. So I mean those things, we've just got to make sure we clean that up. I mean, when you kind of narrow it down, that's the problem. And I could have put our offense in a better position that second half. That didn't take place. We weren't able to move the ball very well. So I've got to look at that too.
Go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Andy, I'm just wondering from an offensive standpoint, was there any sort of adjustments that the Raiders made that you felt impacted your guys' play on offense in the second half?
I didn't think so. I thought it was basically the same stuff they were doing the first half. We just it didn't work, I mean, what we were calling. So you go back and you got to look at that.
Go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy, going to follow up a little bit on what Sam asked a minute ago about whether the things you've seen were new. Do you feel like a lot of what you're seeing is fixable, correctable easily, or are these things going to take some time to work through maybe?
Well, I think penalties, you got to you can correct those. And then the big plays, you can correct those. We got to take care of business there. We got to get, we got to get in the rhythm the second half. Do a better job there off of this game and offensively. I thought the defense stepped up and did a nice job. I thought the offense, we struggled just a little bit the first few possessions, and you got to take care of that.
Let's go next to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, the decision to go with Rashad Fenton to start the second half, was that because Ward was limited with the hand injury, or you just wanted to get a little bit more out of Fenton at that spot?
His hand was bothering him a little bit. We decided we'd go, on third down with him and use him there. And then, Breland, this is his first game back, so we kind of moved him around a little bit too.
Next to Blair Kirkhoff. Go ahead, Blair.
Andy, the past defense came into the game top 3 in the NFL. When the Raiders went over the top a couple times in the second quarter, what did you see as the breakdowns?
Yeah, listen, I mean, they got behind us, and I'll look at the tape and see exactly what went on there. But I would say a couple of them we were just beat, and then other ones, I'm not sure we were doing the right things. But that's how these things go when you have big plays on you. So.
Next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Coach, I know it's a next man up thing, but how much did you feel like you guys did miss Osemele both in getting Clyde established and then later in the game protecting Pat?
Yeah, I don't think listen, I mean, he's a good football player, so I don't want to take anything away from him. But I don't think that was the primary reason we weren't moving the football. So either the run or the pass. I mean, we all had our problems there. So that's part of it.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go Sam and then Todd. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy, the Raiders seem to bring a physical presence, both offense and defensively up front. Were you pleased with the way, did you feel like you guys were able to match that intensity up front?
Well, listen, I thought we came back. I presume you're saying both sides of the ball. I thought offensively, we probably could have done a better job there when it was all said and done. But And then defensively, I thought they probably got the better of us the first half, and then second half, I thought for the third quarter we did a pretty good job stepping up. We got to put something together offensively to keep the defense, at least balanced or off the field.
We'll go last. Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Coach, can you just take us through the decision on whether to kick a deep or onside kick? I know it's tough to get the onside kicks now. And also, we saw a report that someone in your facility had tested positive. Again, just how touch and go was it to have a game? And I don't even know if they've told you you're supposed to be playing next Monday now at like 4 p.m. against Buffalo. Just kind of take us through kind of all that stuff that's happening with the virus stuff.
Yeah, so, listen, we know there are going to be issues, and so you do the best you can. And then if there's a problem, you shut things off and make sure that you isolate. And so I think we did a pretty good job with all that. And as far as the Buffalo thing goes, we know that things are going to happen. So you got to do that. As far as the onside kick goes, I thought we had time, so I chose not to.
Coach, thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Looks like we're going to have Chris Jones come up next for you guys. There he is. Chris, you ready for us?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll start with Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Chris, one of the defensive leaders on this team, I'm just curious how the conversations were in the locker room after this one.
It's areas we can improve, eliminate penalties, execute on the defensive side of the ball. I think the offense put us up 10, and defense had a chance to go up there and stop them and get the offensive ball back, and we gave up a bomb and put them back in the red zone. So, things like that, execution, especially things we can fix on defense, that was the main focal point.
Go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Chris. Andy mentioned this in the first half. He thought the defense could have been a little bit more physical, and that you guys did make that adjustment in the second half. But how would you just assess the battle in the trenches today?
First half, we gave up 24 points. For this defense, that's horrendous. Giving up 24 points in the first half. We got to make corrections, especially on the front line. Defensive line, we're better than that, and I'll make sure we're better than that. And we weigh that heavy on ourselves.
Go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Chris, this is 5 games in, and this is the first time where you guys didn't generate a consistent pass rush. I'm just wondering, how surprised are you by that result today and what the Raiders offensive line was able to do?
They had a heck of a game plan. You got to give them to them. They came out with some formations we haven't seen on film, and they started throwing shots, especially out of gun, and they caught us off guard a little bit. So, as D-line, we harp on making sacks, affecting the quarterback, and we didn't come out and execute today. I feel like we got to do a better job, especially in the front four. When the defensive line is playing dominant, we actually don't even need the linebackers, and we make it better for the guys in the back, our DBs. So, we'll make the adjustments, we'll make the corrections, and we'll come back next game on find all 10 minutes.
Let's go next to Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Chris, when you guys, coach, decided to kick it deep, you just knew you had to get off the field there. Take us through those possessions there and how frustrating it might have been to not be able to stop Jacobs.
We knew they was running the ball, and we tried to play forward. Unfortunately, we didn't stop them. I'm not pointing things at anyone as a defensive effort, and we just didn't stop them.
Got 2 more. We'll go Matt Derrick and then Matt McMullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Chris, coming back from the groin injury, just curious, how are you feeling right now after this game? And is it going to help that you guys are playing now next Monday rather than having to come back on a short week on Thursday?
Anytime I'm able to play, I'm feeling 100%. If I'm not, then I'm not playing. So no excuses there. It's just we got to play we got to set the tone as a D line. I think that we could have played a little better and execute on defense.
Go last to Matt McMullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Chris, you guys haven't lost in a while, and the defense has been so good the last 13 games. What's your message just to the team as a leader about how you guys can bounce back from this?
It's harder, as much as we want to go undefeated, and that's never talked about in the locker room, and we can see the vision that we have the talent and we have the team to do it, but it's hard to win every game. No matter what, we're getting everybody best. John Gruden, he built a remarkable team over there with the speed and with Derek Carr and that offensive line and that running back, Jacobs. And, they came out ready to play today, found on all cylinders and, give it to them. They beat us.
Chris, we appreciate the time today. Thanks for joining us. Got Tyrann Mathieu coming up next. Hey, Tyrann. You ready for us?
Yeah.
All right, we'll start with Harold Kuntz. Good, Harold.
Tyrann, how frustrating was it to see all the balls go deep today, and then just the overall secondary? It just seemed like you guys would raise your hands there, kind of not on the same page back there. How would you assess how the Raiders have so much success through the air?
You got to give those guys credit. They get paid too. Thought their coaches did a great job of, catching us in certain coverages, catching us in certain calls. And even on a lot of those 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s, they schemed us up pretty well. We'll learn from it. We got a lot of tough guys in our locker room. A lot of guys that's going to be motivated from this. We haven't lost a football game in a while. And so I think, it's good to have some motivation. So going forward, that's what we'll lean on. We won't ever forget, this day. We'll see them again. We'll be ready next time.
Go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Tyrann, a couple things. First of all, it's one thing to see on paper that Ruggs can run a 4.27, but until you've actually seen it live, is that a hard thing to get a grasp on, number one? And number two, you feel like the defensive problems today that you guys showed were easily correctable, or you guys have a lot of work to do to get all this taken care of?
I think, the bottom line is, we play a lot of man-to-man. We've run with, plenty 4-2 guys. I don't think that's an excuse. Like I said, they caught us in a couple calls, no post safety. And, I think anytime you have a guy that's that fast, that's running across the field, it makes it hard for anybody that's covering them. So, we'll learn from that. We'll grow from it. But like I said, hats off to them. They played well. They showed up, and they picked the right spots to try their best to, affect us. And they won. So, and that happens sometimes. So, like I said, we'll learn from it. We'll grow from it. And we'll be more motivated than ever going forward.
Go next to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Tyrann, this may sound a little bit like Adam's question that he just asked, but looked like maybe some mixed assignments there in the back end. Was that something, you've mentioned that they caught you in some calls and in some coverages, but are there elements of that you've seen in the first 4 games, or is that something that you feel like just popped up today?
Yeah, well, I just thought that, we didn't finish the right way, whether that be, in the run game, even in the pass game, I just didn't think we finished how we normally would. And even, we get in certain zone coverages. I didn't think we matched them, as well as we've done, in the past. So, like I said, we'll grow from it. We'll learn from it. But hats off to them. They came out, they made the plays that counted, and we didn't. And, I think that's why we lost the game.
Time for a couple more. We're going to go Nate Taylor and then Pete. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Tyrann, given everything you just said, when was the last time you felt that there was this much correctable things to make, or this much confusion, or just misexecution in the secondary?
I wouldn't say all that. I would just say that those guys showed up. They played well. But I think for me going forward, it's all about continuing to encourage my guys. It's a long football season. I can't get down on them. We haven't lost a game since last year. So, who am I as a leader to jump down their throat, because we didn't perform, as we would like as a group. Obviously, I'll remind them, I'll tell them, we'll grow from it. Even myself, I gave up a big play today, and that's all a part of the game. So, we'll get back in the lab. Like I said, it's good. It's a good feeling going forward. Obviously, we lost. It's a bad feeling, but to be this motivated, I haven't felt this motivated in a very, very long time. And I know my teammates, on all sides of the ball, feel the exact same way.
We'll ask Pete Sweeney. Go Pete.
All right, I know you guys will look at the film here and see how everybody did, but just curious how good it was to have Bashaud Breeland back out there, and what did you see in his game in this first look back?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, some minor things that he can clean up, but, for him to come out, his first game, make a big play for us, which I felt like, really swung the momentum early in the game. And I think defensively, we just got to try our best to capitalize off that, especially when we make big plays on the football, we get big sacks or turnovers. We got to find a way to play consistent, after that. And I think that's the new challenge for us. How can we protect leads? How can we get out in front and play the kind of defense that we're accustomed, to playing, that we got used to playing, So, but I think anytime you have a guy like Bashaud back in the lineup, a guy that can tackle, a guy that can cover, a guy that can communicate on the back end, and then a guy that can adjust throughout the game as well. So, just looking forward to seeing him continue to be the player that I know he can be, continue to step up, and then, just continue to play big football for us going forward.
Tyron, we appreciate the time today. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. I believe the last part we're going to get you guys is Mitchell Schwartz, in addition to Patrick. And Mitchell is here and heading up to the podium now. Hey, Mitchell. Are you ready for us?
Yeah.
Awesome. We will go first. Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Mitchell, just very generic, but how would you just assess the offensive line's play today?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're going backwards, holding calls, things of that nature, that doesn't really give the offense a chance to succeed, in this game against a good team, especially. You can't have negative plays. You can't be detracting from that, the percentages of, touchdown drives especially plummet when, you give up a sack, you give up a penalty. So, definitely has to be better. We know that, and coming out, that's going to be probably the biggest thing that we work on.
Go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Mitch, how much from what you saw from the Raiders in their fronts, how much of that was new that you had not seen from them before?
It was all, relatively normal. I think they, kind of played their defense. They obviously did a good job of it, containing us there, especially in the second half. And we just need to make plays. Going back to the first question, too many penalties, too many, errors on our part. And like I said, when you're going up against, a good front and a good defense like that, you're not going to end up with a win.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Mitchell, the strategy for most teams is to be on the field as much as possible with their offense to keep you guys on the sideline. I'm just wondering, in the third quarter, what did you feel like were the biggest things that were the issues, knowing that you're going to have limited possessions when a team is trying to run the clock as much as the Raiders were?
Yeah, I don't know how much that factors into, what we do. I think, our goal is to score touchdowns. If we score them in, 20 total minutes of game time versus 40 minutes, I think as long as we get more than the other team, that's an okay thing. We obviously just didn't, have a rhythm there in the third quarter. We had opportunities on our side. A couple better blocks up front, and Clyde springs free, and then all of a sudden we're rolling. So just got to do better across the board, and we get a chance to watch the film and address it, and work at it for this next week. Because we got another big one coming up.
Next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Mitch, I'm just curious what kind of a draining afternoon this was, because it obviously was a hot day and one of those days where it seems like the offensive line's having to do a lot of moving around. And is there some relief after a game like this that now you're playing next Monday instead of turning around on Thursday night?
Yeah, it's definitely better, body-wise to be able to, get the extra day there. I guess we're coming off a short week too. All that stuff kind of gets lost in the shuffle these days. But, would have been ready to play Thursday, ready to play Saturday, however it played out. Just would have, had to roll with it. Yeah, I mean, it was hot today. I think, that tends to favor offensive lines as the game goes on. Typically, obviously the defensive line is, bringing guys in and, they get a little bit more tired than we do. And so throughout the totality of a game, it definitely starts to favor the offense. So, when it's hot like that, that usually ends up being a good thing in the long term for us.
Got two more. Let's go to Todd Lebo and then Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Mitch, just what sort of credit should the Raiders get for overall what they did today? The Chiefs have dominated this division so much ever since Coach Reid got here, really. Did they feel like, they had a little something and they were kind of sick of getting kicked around?
I mean, every Raiders game is a big game. They tend to play us tight. The past couple of times it's gotten away late, but, in terms of, looking back on it, we hadn't necessarily played our best game. So we understood, it's a really good team. I mean, that's something that, we don't really look at records too much. You kind of just, watch the film and make your own interpretation. And we knew a good team was coming to town. We always know Raiders Week is a huge one. We know that, obviously they're vying for the AFC West title as well. So, I think we got what we expected. Obviously at the end of the day, they played a better game than we did. And, we got to clean up some things from it.
We'll go last to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Which I know offensive line play has just so much to do with rapport and chemistry and all that. How much and in what ways do you feel like losing Kelechi early might have impacted the whole line's play today?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, conversely, Mike came in and played pretty well against the Ravens, and we had a good game there. So, I like to think it doesn't have too big of an effect. I mean, we have some quality guys who can come in and play ball for us. So, that's good. I mean, the communication was good. I don't think we had any, cutting guys loose or things of that nature. So, credit to obviously Brett Veach, Coach Reid for bringing guys in, and then Coach Heck, he always has guys ready for injuries. I mean, it's pretty inevitable, especially on the offensive line. And it seems like year after year he's had, good guys to plug in.
Mitchell, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, guys. And we'll go last to Patrick. So hang tight. All right, Patrick, you ready for us?
Ready to go.
Awesome. We'll go first. Harold Kins. Go ahead, Harold.
Patrick, after putting up 24 points in the first half, the third quarter you guys struggled. Just what went into why we're so successful in the first half, and then the third quarter came out of struggle?
Yeah, I think we just didn't execute at a high enough level. In the first half, we started off well. We executed at a high level. Obviously, we had some penalties, called some stuff back. And then the second quarter, we kind of made plays happen, but we weren't executing at a high level. And then the third quarter, we couldn't execute because we weren't running the plays the right way, and I wasn't finding the right reads. And so that carried over, and we obviously didn't play in the second half like we wanted to.
Let's go next to Matt McMullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Patrick, you guys haven't lost in a while. This is a tough one. So what's your message to the team in the locker room after the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's a learning lesson. I mean, if you don't play your best football, you lose football games in this league. And if we didn't play our best football today, and we try to battle at the end, but we don't play at a high enough level against good football teams, then you're going to lose games.
Next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Patrick, was there a common thread to the offensive problems today and maybe the way you guys played, at least for, say, the first three quarters against the Chargers, and then maybe the first three quarters last week as well?
Not necessarily. I just feel like we didn't execute, and we didn't do what we needed to do in order to move the ball. We had one bad quarter, but when you're playing a team that's hot like they were, I mean, one bad quarter loses you a football game.
So Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Patrick, in the second half, did the Raiders just cover the deep options a little bit better than they did in the first half? And how much of it was having to look for a second or third receiver and just not getting through that progression, perhaps maybe as good as you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely put a little bit deeper. I got to try to find ways to get the ball to the open guy. But like I said, we just didn't get anything going in the third quarter. I mean, and in the beginning of the fourth, we moved the ball at the end of the game. But at the same time, I mean, they didn't change any coverages. We just didn't execute in the second half.
Next to Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Patrick, I know you guys would rather not be in 1st and 20 or 2nd and 20, but you had a couple of big penalties that put you in spots and you guys weren't able to come back from that part of it. How deflating is it for the offense when you threw the touchdown to Tyreek in the first half and there's a penalty on it? How deflating is that? And why maybe were you not able to overcome that stuff today? And then I wanted to ask quickly, I don't know if you saw this, but Alex Smith played today. Didn't know if you'd seen that or what thoughts you might have on him making it back and being on the field.
Yeah, I mean, the first part of your question, I mean, in this league, when you're in 1st and 20, 2nd and 20, it's hard to get first downs. We've been spoiled that we've kind of done it well these last few years, but you don't want to be in those positions. And so obviously we're going to try to clean up the penalties. And then whenever we're in that situation, I got to try to find a way to make it more 3rd and manageable and not 3rd and 20 and trying to make a crazy play happen every single time. And then the Alex thing, I actually saw. I haven't got to see the highlights, but I saw that he got in the game, and I mean, it's amazing. It really is just amazing for him to be able to go through what he's been through and get back on that field. I'll probably text him here after this press conference and congratulate him because that's truly special, and it's truly a special human that can do something like that.
Got time. We got 2 more hands up. Let's go Mitchell and then Sam. Go ahead, Mitchell.
Hey, Patrick, would you want to take us through that interception you threw on 4th and 7?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was covered well, and you don't want to take a sack on 4th down. So I just try to put it out there to Kels and try to let him make a play, and their backside safety made a better play. And so, I mean, I just got to try to find something, and obviously it didn't work out for us.
Let's go last to Sam Nollinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Patrick, you keep saying execution over and over and over again. Am I reading it right that you see this as more of, sort of what you guys didn't do rather than some new trick or whatever that the Raiders were throwing at you today?
No, I mean, you give them total respect. I mean, they have a lot of great players on their defense, and so they're going to go out there and they're going to make plays. But as far as us offensively, we've kind of done it these last few weeks, obviously other than the Ravens game where we didn't execute at a high enough level to go out there and score like we've been known to score. And it caught up with us today. And so we got to go back and really look at ourselves in the mirror, me at quarterback, and really not rely on these crazy plays where I'm scrambling around and throwing these shots, and just execute the offense the way that it's called and the way that we're supposed to be ran. And if we do that, we'll be a hard team to stop.
Patrick, we appreciate the time today. Thanks for joining us. All right, guys.